Well, I'm going to be really original and start out with a golf story. Surprise. It was Thursday, and I had a chance to play golf beginning the mid-afternoon. And as you know, it was a very warm day by our standards. And I noticed how quickly it got dark and how quickly the temperatures started to drop. I noticed, too, the flowers decaying and somewhat dead. It was a rather overcast day, and so the trees looked very gray, and they were barren in many cases, and all the leaves seemed to cover all the green grass on the fairways. It led me to think about how we are at the midpoint of fall, and how interesting it is that the church at this time of year, giving the decay and the barrenness and the dying of nature, chooses to commemorate what we say All Souls. So in today's liturgy, we come together to pray for and remember all of our deceased loved ones, in this motif as a background. And you know, we can pray for the people who are in what we call a state of purification. They're going through the state in order to meet God, in order to be ready to accept the spiritual gifts that God wants to give them. And by praying for them, this is how we lend our personal concern and vital energies to help them complete the process of meeting God, which will be their heavenly fulfillment. But here's the thing we don't think of too often, that in our prayers, we can gain strength from our deceased loved ones by reflecting on their lives and looking at the various virtues and qualities and outstanding characteristics they had in their earthly life, and then ask God for the grace to emulate these characteristics and qualities, their virtues, that they manifested in their Christian life when they were here on this earth. In this way, our deceased loved ones continue to participate in the life of the church, that we can actually draw energy from the people who went before us. You see, we believe in the communion of saints, which sets up channels and connections and a special spiritual union with those who have gone before us and with all of us here today. And people in this state of purification are helped by the prayers not only of us, but through the intercession of the saints. We celebrated All Saints' Day last Sunday, and the saints can intercede for our deceased loved ones. You know, the second reading from Hebrews, that we can go through Christ and make our plea before God. It says, Christ entered heaven itself, that he might appear before God now on our behalf. In our tradition, you know, we find a hope that beyond death there is healing and renewal, a firm belief in the afterlife. And when we pray a funeral mass, there's a preface that says, for those who are faithful, Lord, life is not ended, but merely changed. We believe in the continuation of life, a transformation of life. That the person who has fallen asleep in the Lord has not had a period put at the end of his or her life. They have exchanged one kind of living here for a different kind of living in the hereafter. We believe that because of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, that on that first Easter, God the Father raised Jesus from the dead, And when he did that, he made it possible for you and for me to have everlasting life. That this precious little life of ours is stronger than the death that wants to snuff it out. We have this living hope that because Jesus lives, so can we. I want to share with you a very special story, at least for me. You probably heard it before. It's called The Story of Freddie the Leaf. Leo Buscaglia. And I think it brings together this whole idea that communion of saints are dying and rising with Christ, and how for the Christian, death is the illusion, life is the reality. Try to get every word. It's a little lengthy, almost 8 minutes, so you got to hang in there. Freddie the Leaf had grown large. His midsection was wide and strong, and his 5 extensions were firm and pointed. He had first appeared in spring as a small sprout on a rather large branch near the top of a tall tree. Freddie was surrounded by hundreds of other leaves just like himself. Soon he discovered that no 2 leaves were alike, even though they were on the same tree. Alfred was the leaf next to him, Ben was the leaf on his right side, and Claire was the lovely leaf overhead. They had all grown up together. They had learned to bask lazily in the summer sun and wash off in the cooling rains. But it was Daniel who was Freddie's best friend. He was the largest leaf on the limb and seemed to have been there before anyone else. It appeared to Freddie that Daniel was also the wisest among them. It was Daniel who told them that they were part of a tree. It was Daniel who explained that they were growing in a public park. It was Daniel who told them that the tree had strong roots which were hidden in the ground below. He explained about the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the seasons. Freddie loved being a leaf. He loved his branch, his light, leafy friends, his place high in the sky, the wind that jostled him about, the sun rays that warmed him. Summer had been especially nice. The long, hot days felt good, and the warm nights were peaceful and dreamy. There were many people in the park that summer. They often came and sat under Freddie's tree. Daniel told him that giving shade was part of his purpose. "What's a purpose?" Freddie had asked. "A reason for being." Daniel had answered, "To make things more pleasant for others is a reason for being. To make shade for old people who come to escape the heat of their homes is a reason for being. To provide a cool place for children to come and play. These are all reasons for being." Freddie especially liked the old people. They sat so quietly on the cool grass and hardly ever moved, and they talked in whispers of times past. The children were fun too, even though they sometimes tore holes in the bark of the tree or carved their names into it. Still, it was fun to watch them move so fast and to laugh so much. But Freddie's summer soon passed. It vanished on a November night. He had never felt so cold. All the leaves shivered with the cold. They were coated with a thin layer of white, which quickly melted and left them dew-drenched and sparkling in the morning sun. Again, it was Daniel who explained that they had experienced their first frost, the sign that it was fall and that winter would come soon. Almost at once, the whole tree, in fact, the whole park, was transformed into a blaze of color. There was hardly a green leaf left. Alfred had turned a deep yellow, Ben had become a bright orange, Claire had become a blazing red, Daniel a deep purple, and Freddie was red and gold and blue. How beautiful they all looked. Freddie and his friends had made their tree a rainbow. "Why do we turn different colors?" Freddie asked. "When we are on the same tree. Each of us is different. We have had different experiences. We have faced the sun differently. We have cast shade differently. Why should we not have different colors? Daniel said matter-of-factly. Daniel told Freddie that this wonderful season was called fall. Now, one day, a very strange thing happened. The same breezes that in the past had made them dance began to push and pull at their stems, almost as if they were angry. This caused some of the leaves to be torn from their branches and swept up in the wind, tossed about and dropped softly to the ground. All the leaves became frightened. What's happening? They asked each other in whispers. It's what happens in the fall, Daniel told them. It's a time for leaves to change their home. Some people call it to die. Will we all die? Freddie asked. Yes, Daniel answered. Everything dies, no matter how big or small, how weak or strong. We first do our job. We experience the sun and the moon, the wind and the rain. We learn to dance and to laugh, and then we die. I won't die, said Freddie with determination. Will you, Daniel? Yes, answered Daniel, when it's my time. When is that? Asked Freddie. No one knows for sure, Daniel responded. Freddie noticed that the other leaves continued to fall. He thought it must be their time. He saw that some of the leaves lashed back at the wind before they fell. Others simply let go and dropped quietly. Soon the tree was almost bare. I'm afraid to die, Freddie told Daniel. I don't know what's down there. We all fear what we don't know, Freddie. It's natural, Daniel reassured him. Yet you were not afraid when spring became summer. You were not afraid when summer became fall. They were natural changes. Why should you be afraid of the season of death? Does the tree die too? Freddie asked. Someday. But there is something stronger than the tree. It is life, capital L, that lasts forever, and we are all a part of life. Where will we go when we die? No one knows for sure. That's the great mystery. Will we return in the spring? We may not, but life will. Then what has been the reason for all of this? Freddie continued to question. Why were we here at all if only we have to fall and to die? Daniel answered in his matter-of-fact way, it's been about the sun and the moon. It's been about the happy times together. It's been about the shade and the old people and the children. It's been about colors in the fall. It's been about seasons. Isn't that enough? That afternoon, in the golden light of dusk, Daniel let go. He fell effortlessly. He seemed to smile peacefully as he fell. Goodbye for now, Freddie, he said. Then Freddie was alone, the only leaf left on the branch. The first snow fell the following morning. It was soft, white, and gentle, but it was bitter cold. There was hardly any sun that day, and the day was very short. Freddie found himself losing his color, becoming brittle. It was constantly cold, and the snow weighed heavily upon him. At dawn, the wind came that took Freddie from its branch. It didn't hurt at all. He felt himself float quietly, gently, and softly downward. As he fell, he saw the whole tree for the first time, how strong and firm it was. He was sure that it would live for a long time, and he knew that he had been part of its life, and that made him proud. Freddie landed on a clump of snow. It somehow felt soft and even warm. In this new position, he was more comfortable than he had ever been. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He did not know that spring would follow winter and that snow would melt into water. He did not know that what appeared to be his useless dried self would join with the water and serve to make the tree stronger. Most of all, he did not know that there, asleep in the tree and the ground, were already plans for new leaves in the spring. The book ends with the words, a barren tree, the beginning. Well, because of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, we know that it trumpets this incredible truth that the promises of Jesus can come true. He says, I go to prepare a place for you. I'll come back and take you together. He says, I'll not leave you orphans. St. Paul, quoting the words of the prophet Isaiah, says this, eye has not seen, nor has ear heard, nor has it even entered the heart of a person what God has prepared for those who love him. For the Christian, death is the illusion, life is the reality.